Hello and welcome. Today we've got something very, very special. This is Ustad Shahid Parvez, who is one of the greatest sitar players of all time. And certainly of the living sitar players, he's considered by many to be the greatest living sitar player on the planet. Of course, some people might prefer a different sitar player as their favorite living sitar player, but I would definitely say he is the best living sitar player, and you couldn't really say that about many musicians of any particular instrument, but in this case, that's what I'm saying. And I really have an appreciation of his music, particularly because the musicians that I've worked with or studied with have usually worked with him in one way or another. They've been a disciple or they've played with him. So he's really a father figure for many modern classical musicians of this time. But let's dive straight into this. This is Raag Yaman, played at the Tabla festival, and he's got wonderful tabla player Ojas playing tabla. So let's dive into this. I'm really looking forward to analysing this performance and doing my best to break it down and try and explain parts of what they're doing. Okay, so how on earth was he doing that? The way that he was doing that is that this is a special technique that he does. On the sitar, you've got the main playing strings that are on top of the frets here, and these are connected to the larger tuning pegs. But underneath the frets, you've got sympathetic strings that are tuned with the smaller tuning pegs, and those strings are not normally played directly. They are sympathetic resonating strings that are tuned to the scale that you're playing. But what he's doing is he's reaching underneath below the level of the fret. He's reaching down with the little finger. He's got a longer fingernail on his little finger, so he can pluck the different strings, the sympathetic strings. So he's playing one note there on the fret, and he's doing sort of tremolo picking. And then at the same time, he's flicking the other notes of the sympathetic strings to create this interesting sort of melody. It's a bit like how a classical guitar player, like a flamenco guitar player, might be playing tremolo on the high strings with the fingers, and then with the thumb sort of playing melody notes on the lower strings. It's a little bit like that, I suppose. So let's hear that again, and it's really amazing how he sort of gradually speeds it up as well. It's pretty amazing. So he's adding other fretted notes as well, and now he's flicking. Beautiful string bend, yeah. So he's keeping it at the same speed so he's in sync with the tabla the whole time. But it's as if he's got this phrase, and then he just starts to compress the phrase, so it feels like it's kind of getting faster. But actually, it's the same speed. It's just that he's compressing it all together, so there aren't any gaps between the different melody notes. And he tunes his sympathetic strings differently, I think, to how they're usually tuned, so he can access the correct notes that he wants for that melodic passage. So this is something which has definitely been thought about and developed, and he's considered how he wants to tune the sympathetic strings, especially so he knows he can work these particular note combinations. And he's thinking in Raag as well. He's thinking about Raag Yaman and how he should be skipping Sa, and he's got a very refined sense of everything that he's done. He's really thought about what he's doing, but at the same time he's being spontaneous and playing with it. Yeah. very sensitive tabla accompaniment, dropping back as soon as he does that slow long note. Let's go back and see that this string bend that he does. He immediately goes into very, very fast string bend, meaned technique that's just touching like 2 or 3 different notes, at least 3 different notes on that fret, but very, very quickly. And then seamlessly blends it into a tan, a phrase moving up on that string. So those techniques are just so blended together so seamlessly. If you were just listening, you might not even realize what's what. Is he bending? Is he playing different frets? So what, you know, it's all so perfectly blended together. Yeah, it ended with such attitude as well. Yeah, and that Dani Re Sa, that phrase he plays at the end, if you listen out for that, you'll start to hear lots of phrases ending with Ni Re Sa, which is skipping Sa, Ni Re, back to Sa. So this thing of skipping the tonic, skipping the root, is an important part of the language of Raag Yaman, and you have a similar structure around the 5th note, pancham, the pa. You play things like ma, da, ni, da, pa, skipping over the pa and then visiting it on the way down. So all of these things are really part of his lines. All the different lines that he's playing are specifically constructed to observe these particular melodic rules. But he does it so elegantly and so naturally. Often ending with that 7th, that ni as well, that long phrase there, but ending with the 7th, because ni is the vadi. Actually, the ga is the vadi, ni is the samvadi. I think the two most important notes are seen as ga and ni, which is the major 3rd and the major 7th. But it's got the sharpened 4th in this Raag as well. So it's like a Lydian scale in Western music, but skipping the 1st and the 5th in the ascending passages. So, my God, I mean, there's just so much going on there, isn't there? Something that I really love to pick out about his playing is that a lot of the phrases that he plays are bigger, faster phrases. He seems to kind of play them in big gestures. It feels like he's got attention to each note, but you also get the feeling of just like the overall gesture, the way that he expresses it with his body, feels like... It's very hard to put this into words, but I feel like he's got the whole thing connected into sort of one big movement. So the whole body seems to be connected to the entire journey of the phrase. So I just think he does that in a particular way. I get this sense of like a gesture rather than separated units of phrases or separated notes or separated ideas. It feels like the whole thing has like a really natural flow to it, and he's able to put this emotion into the entire phrase as if it's just one wave of his hand is creating all of this incredible music. Okay. Go back a little bit further. So it's like he's at 2 levels at once. You know, he's in the detailed level, but at the same time he's a sort of like above what he's doing as well, and he's got the sort of big picture in mind as well as the little details. Because you do pick out different units of phrases, and if you watch his body, you can almost see the different divisions, like how he's got these different groupings that he's doing to create this long phrase. and again, perfect accompaniment. The tabla player is really behind him all the way, but then as soon as he stops on a note and sustains the note, then you get the spaciousness. You get to just hear that note ringing out because the tabla player kind of is reading him very well and knows when to leave space. I think he checked the time there, didn't he? I think he checked his watch. I think that's what he did. I haven't noticed that before. I think because I have seen this video before. It's one of my favorite videos. It looks like he checked his watch then. I think he was probably having an idea of, right, okay, how far am I into my recital? How much time have I got? I want to be moving on to the next point so I know where I'm going. I felt that's what he was doing, because actually when I used to play concerts with Manish Pinglay, a slide guitar player who he studied with Shahid Parvez, he would sometimes have he'd have a little clock, a little watch on, and sometimes in the performance I'd noticed once or twice he'd be looking at it thinking, we should be about here by now. It's like he had an idea in his head of how we were navigating through the time, and he really taught me a lot of, picked up a lot of things from him about how to sort of measure time musically. And I wonder if he did actually look at his clock there. Watch here. Yeah, he's checking the time. Yeah, and just a moment to tune. Okay, so now is going to be a new idea. This is one of his signature melodies for Raag Yaman. Okay, so let's start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1. This composition starts on beat 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1. On beat 10, but then he starts filling in different phrases, and I think he's beginning to improvise already there. So he comes back to this da 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 da, and then he can start to improvise leading up to that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 da 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 da. So lots of time to improvise. Da 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 da, and he can take longer to improvise when he wants to, but this is the beats that he's looking out for to rejoin the composition. Let's go back a little bit. One. So the melody lands on beat 1. Very relaxed, and it's amazing how relaxed he is. Yeah, and see there, yeah, he left that beautiful gap, da 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 da, and then da 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 da. That was nice. He had to come in on the and of 13 there, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, ba da 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 da. So he's completely squashed the melody down, and it's a very nice melody just because of the sound of it, but also just on its own, this melody, this gut, as it would be called, is a Tihai, because it's 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. So you've got that 3 sets of 2 landing on beat 1. So when he sped it up, dun 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 dun, that's still a Tihai, or slow dun 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 dun. So that's a Tihai, and he's always playing with Tihais, these phrases that are repeated 3 times in order to land on beat 1 or to land on the beginning of the melody, wherever that melody might be in the cycle, he'll be able to play different Tihais that land on any beat in order to start the composition that he is currently playing. So as this develops, he's going to start to do lots of different Tihais, joining onto the composition, which in itself is a Tihai. So yeah, he's really into this rhythmic stuff, but he does it always in a very melodic, natural, musical way. It's pretty outstanding. He really is thought of as the real master of rhythm. And the name of this video is Divine Layakari. So I think I'm saying that right, Layakari. See, I know quite a lot about indie music, but I don't necessarily pronounce all the words correctly, I don't think. Layakari, I think is but that's Laya is time, and Kari I think is like playing. It's like when you're playing with rhythm and playing with time. So he's really considered the master of that in the sitar discipline. As a sitar player, he's kind of considered the best rhythmic master. So let's catch that again. Improvising a phrase into the little quick version of the melody. So relaxed. So a few repeated phrases there, little units of phrases. God, he's just such a master. So it's nice when he gets into this phase. I mean, the whole concert is amazing. You can see the whole thing if you sign up to the Dabar concert hall. It's really amazing. But this phase of the recital where he's playing a composition, introducing it, but then he's just taking his time to just give you like one idea at a time. So he just waits for a moment just to let just give you the sense of expectation and relaxation, so your mind is clear, and then he just gives you a really perfect idea, a perfect musical idea, and then it just comes naturally back to the composition, and then you wait, and then he gives you a different idea, completely perfect, and it feels like he totally knows what he's doing. So he's improvising. He'll be improvising and changing things, but these are very developed, specific sort of rhythmic principles that he's working with, and some of this is based on Tihai concepts of playing the same thing 3 times, but he's not doing it in the conventional way. Yeah, there's a lot you could say. I mean, I have to keep playing the video, otherwise we'll just be trying to analyze it forever, but there's a lot of different things and going on in here. So repeating. Third time, and then he just descending into the melody, and then just leaving a big space. Very beautiful. Getting some faster tons and their faster phrases. I got a nice reaction from Ojas there on the tabla. He just finished that with a very simple 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, simple Tihai there, playing 3 notes 3 times to land on the composition. But they catch you by surprise because he's doing this incredible fast run, and then he just suddenly lands on the Tihai. The thing about his playing is that his improvised lines blend into the tihais or the different patterns that maybe he's worked on before. They blend into them so seamlessly that it's not like he's improvising. And then sometimes you can hear with different performers more obviously when they're kind of improvising and maybe kind of just waiting for the right place and then going into a tihai that's maybe pre-composed. Whereas when Shahid's playing, it's like there's just no dividing line. It feels, I mean, there is probably in his mind, but as a listener, you just don't see it coming. He's just playing, and then suddenly he's seamlessly gone into a really interesting little melodic part, and then that takes a little rhythmic idea, and then that takes you back to the gat. But it just happens so kind of spontaneously, so effortlessly. So listen to this one. It ends with the Tihai. When does he start? Right. I've got to hear that one more time. Perfectly lining up with the composition. Oh yeah, and this part, I was thinking about this just before. He did this really interesting thing here, where again it's using the Tihai concept of playing the same thing 3 times, but each time he slows it down. Like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it was 7 notes that he played there. But I know about this because I've studied with his son, his son Shakir Khan. And he showed me different ideas like this, where you have a phrase like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or something like that, where it's the Tihai idea of playing it 3 times is there, but each time you break it up a bit more so it stretches out, or you could do it the other way around, so it's longer and then short as possible, but it's all calculated perfectly so it lands on the beat of the composition. It's quite difficult to spot this one though. Yeah, but it goes back in. Let's try and count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. See where he starts it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's the composition. Yeah. So I think that started somewhere. That started somewhere just before the first beat of the cycle. Kind of, it caught me by surprise where it was coming in. I think it might have been around beat 15. Let's try again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah. I'd have to think about that a little bit to make sure I'm getting it exactly right. I won't take all of your time now. This is maybe a bit more homework for me, but I think it was coming on the offbeat, which is why it's catching me out. I think it was on the offbeat of 15, but I'd have to check it out again to be sure, because sometimes these things go through so quickly. I'd probably have to kind of slow it down and count it. But this is the thing. There's just so much going on in there, and the guys just sat on stage, just kind of smiling. Just being like, yeah, this is no problem. Even after he plays that one, I don't know what he's saying to the audience, but he's just probably saying something like, oh, well, music is just all about expression and beauty. And he's probably just saying something like, hey, this is just so easy. Of course, it's not easy, but the way that he expresses it is like, well, I'm just having a great time. I hope you're enjoying yourself because I know I am. That's the kind of expression he gives off to me. Yeah, he did the same kind of pattern again there. Yeah, I love that. Beautiful string bend, so expressive. What he's doing here, is pretty amazing because he's now intentionally he's landing on the upbeat instead of landing on beat 1. He's landing on the upbeat just after beat 1, which makes it much more difficult, and it sounds more kind of unhinged. But rhythmically it's totally flowing. You can kind of just sit back and relax and listen to it. But if you really focus on it, he's landing always just after the first beat of the cycle, just on the upbeat, and that gives it a very interesting rhythmic character. But he's still managing to calculate these Tihais as 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, but landing just after the first beat, which is a very particular thing, and it's very rare that people do that. It's something that he does incredibly well, and Shakir, his son, does it incredibly well too. But you don't see that many people doing this. This is something that's really specific to his style and his concept of playing. You can see the tabla player Ojas is like, wow, this is great. He's just laughing to himself because he knows how good it is. It has that upbeat to it. So it's like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16. Funny how it always comes so perfectly like that. And always ending with these perfect Tihais. 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16. Crazy. Nice. Okay. Yeah. And back to the main theme. And to go back into that main theme, he had a particular Tihai which I've noticed him playing, and Shakir playing in different recitals, and also Manish Pinglay actually taught me this Tihai, and we actually used it in a guitar course, so I know this one. And this can be transposed into different rags, but there's a very particular form it has. It goes 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. And I don't think that Manish was counting it when he taught it to me. He wasn't counting it as 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. But I found that the easiest way to sort of internalize it. So that's the way I tend to count it. I think he was counting it more like 1 2 da da 1 2 da da 1 2 da da. So the sort of differentiating a little bit the first two notes from the second two notes that could maybe be manipulated or used in there's different variations you can do with the Tihai. He was explaining this is all a bit more in depth, but you can hear it. If I count along with it, you'll notice this, and it's specifically designed to bring him back to beat 10. It's actually a 16-beat Tihai. It's sort of two Tihais together because there's 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. That's already a Tihai. He's been playing those kind of Tihais just before, actually, with this offbeat idea that he was playing with. So it has the 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and then 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, and then that lands on the da 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 da. So this is a very particular one that you can start to notice it because it's got these two Tihais stuck together, and it's 16 beats long. So he's actually bringing that in on beat 10, and that will take him all the way around the cycle and back to beat 10 to start the composition again. A little bit after this actually, but we'll keep watching. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, it's coming in here. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 da 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 da, and that brings you back. So let me just show that one more time. 1 2 3 4, going back in. Let's go back a little further. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Okay, and I'll count it one more time as well, so you can see what I mean about it comes in on beat 10. So when you're watching me on my hand, it's like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 da 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 da. 1 2 3 sorry. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 da 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 da. It comes back around in that way. Cycle 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 That's right, coming in on beat 10, meeting the composition again on beat 10. Okay, so now he's gone back to the standard form of the melody to support the tabla solo. Triplets here. Slowing down, and speeding up again. Amazing. Great. The manipulation of the buyer, the bass drum. really brilliantly coming back to the main theme there. I'm sure there was probably some kind of clever Tihai construction there. I didn't really exactly catch what he was doing. I don't understand tabla as well as I understand sitar and the melodic forms, but maybe if I watched it a few times over and over again, I might start to sort of notice what he was doing. But I mean, if you hang out with real tabla players, they'll start telling you all kinds of things. You know, you're listening. If you listen to tabla recitals, tabla solos with a great tabla player beside you, they'll be saying, "Oh, I know that one. Oh, I know what he's doing there." Or, "Oh, I see, he's doing 9+7+3." Or "Oh, I see what he's doing there. And yeah, it's very there's just so much information going into that. You know, as listeners, we can just enjoy just the sounds and the whole experience, but it's really incredible seeing it done that well. So thanks very much for joining us. This has been really great, and I'll be doing more of these soon. So please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.